Laugh, learn, make, create. Magic Mountain Creative. The dinosaurs gathered for their regular band meeting, excited to hear what their manager, Green Dinosaur, had to say. He had been working very secretly on something, and nobody knew what he had been doing. All they knew was that he had said it would be something that might put them in the running for Space Band of the Year. They had practiced every week. Purple Dinosaur on the drums, Blue Dinosaur on the electric guitar, and Orange Dinosaur on the kazoo. The only thing they were missing was a singer with a loud voice, loud enough to be heard over the dinosaurs and their noisy instruments. Orange was the first to say something. "Come on, Green, we're in suspense here. Tell us the news." "Yeah," said Purple. "We can't wait any longer." The dinosaurs all began chanting, "Tell us, tell us, tell us." Okay, pipe down," said Green. "Don't get your dinosaur pants in a twist. As you know, I've been looking around up here for months, trying to find a brilliant singer for our band." Yes, we know," chorused the dinosaurs impatiently. "Well," Green went on, "I have made a discovery. We all know that there are quite a few planets up here, and we've never really been to see what might be living there. The other night, whilst out in our rocket, I noticed something incredible." What? The others shouted in excitement. "I noticed that each of those planets does have something living there. A single something that might be just what we are looking for. A being." Green had a glint in his eye as he gazed out dreamily into the darkness of space. The dinosaurs all started talking over one another wildly, each of them trying to work out what that being might, be. "It's a secret dinosaur colony," shouted Purple. "I knew it. There's more of us out there." No, you are completely wrong," interrupted Blue. "It's definitely a planet full of robots, and they're all planning to take over the universe." Squealed Orange. "We're all going to be eaten by scary robots who want to suck out our tiny brains and... "You are all wrong," Green said smugly with his best know-it-all voice. "Each planet is home to a giant. The only trouble is I don't know whether these giants are friendly or not. If we could just visit and check it out, we might be able to persuade them to join our band. They are bound to have the kind of big, loud, deep voice that will get us the big win. This could be the big break we are all looking for. Now, who's with me?" Before Green had finished the sentence, the dinosaurs had already clambered into their rocket and were shouting, "Come on then, Green, let's go!" They turned on the engine, and with a deafening roar, the rocket set off on its way to the first planet. As soon as they touched down in this strange place, the first thing they noticed was the vibration that ran all the way through their huge bones, making their teeth rattle. "It's an earthquake!" screamed Orange. "Quick, back on the rocket!" Wait. It's not an earthquake. Listen," Green whispered calmly. He gestured with his tiny hand towards a big lump with a horribly hairy belly button. Creeping closer, they soon realised that this big lump was in fact a giant. A big snoring giant with bristles that poked out from his nostrils, and they quivered with each snore. There he was, fast asleep, surrounded by biscuit crumbs, huge empty tubs of ice cream and sweetie wrappers. Green, being the most confident of all his friends, picked up an empty tub and threw it straight at the giant's nose, causing it to wibble and wobble all over the place. The giant woke up with a start and looked straight at the uninvited guests.
"Oi, what did you do that for? I was asleep then,"
he grumbled, still with his eyes half closed and sleepily smearing the remains of ice cream from around his massive chin. "Yes, sorry about that. We were just passing through and thought it would be great to pop in and say hello. Oh, and by the way, are you any good at singing?" said Green, this time in his best "I'm not scared of big hairy giants who have just been rudely disturbed by a group of dinosaurs looking for a lead vocalist" voice.
"What?"
The giant was very confused and obviously still half asleep.
No, I hate singing. In fact, I despise it. I would rather eat my own head with mashed potato than sing."
Weirdly, the giant began licking his lips as if the idea of eating his own fat, greasy head was suddenly quite appealing. "Oh," Green said with a tinge of disappointment in his voice. "Never mind. Thanks anyway. Enjoy doing sitting and sleeping, and I'm sorry about the nose thing." The dinosaurs quickly made their way back onto the rocket, with the sound of the engine boosters already drowned out by the giant snoring away peacefully below as they took off. Well, that was no good. On to the next one. I have a feeling this might be the one. Green's positive attitude was already wearing thin on the others, but they buckled up and headed to planet number 2. On arrival, the dinosaurs felt quite uneasy. This planet was very unusual. It was colourless. It was like something from an old-fashioned dino movie. Everything was in black and white. "Boring," moaned Purple. "Be patient," said Green. "Look over there. There it is." Whoa. And sure enough, sat right there in a high-backed checkered rocking chair was the biggest little old lady anyone had ever seen. Around her feet were balls of wool, all tangled together in a clump and gradually being pulled up by 2 huge knitting needles to form what can only be described as a one-armed jumper with 2 neck holes and a space for 1 leg. The balls of wool disappeared up into the wonky jumper as quickly as someone sucking up spaghetti in a spaghetti speed-eating race. "Excuse me," Green said politely. Nothing. "Excuse me," he said again, this time a bit louder. Still nothing. "I said, excuse me!" Green boomed the words out until the old lady looked up. "Oh, hello, dear. Did you say something?" she croaked. "Oh, I said excuse me. We just wondered if you fancied joining our band." The big little old lady squinted her eyes so she could hear better and said, "What was that, dear? Lend you a hand? With what, dear?" "No, I said join our band. Can you sing?" Green mouthed each word slowly and loudly as if talking through a thick glass window. "Bring what, dear?" The old lady was rocking backwards and forwards so fast it was making the dinosaurs get dizzy just to look at her. Getting more impatient, Purple shouted, "This is a waste of time. She'd never be able to sing in tune if she joined the band. She can't even hear us." "I can hear you perfectly well, thank you, dear. And actually, when I was a youngster, I was in a band. I used to play the spoons. I was the best spoon player in the galaxy. They used to call me the Spoonivator." "But can you sing?" they all shouted together. The big little old lady went very still. She carefully put her knitting needles down on her lap and closed her eyes. She kept them closed for what felt like an eternity. The dinosaurs all looked at one another, confused but also curious as to what was happening. "Has she fallen asleep?" Orange whispered. They waited and waited until suddenly she opened her eyes and said, "Oh, hello, dear. Did you say something?" They all sighed with disappointment, and that was that. No singer on this black and white planet. On they all trundled back to the rocket, climbing aboard and jetting off. Only one more planet left. Green sounded as though his hope was fading, but he tried to look positive in front of the others. Ooh! The dinosaurs all pressed their noses against the rocket window as they made their descent to the most fabulous planet they'd ever seen. Part land and part water, it was a swirling globe full of colour, and they couldn't wait to explore. As they all stepped out, Green ushered them to a huge grey rocky place. It had a funny little lid and what looked like a big wooden opening at the front. Green pushed against it and led the others inside. "Hello, is anybody there?" Green asked, not too sure whether they should be afraid or not of what they might encounter. The others all bunched up behind him, eyeballing the way out, just in case they needed to make a run for it. The ground started shaking. Boom, boom, boom. They all started to back away, ready to escape, when all of a sudden a deep voice spoke.
"I'll be there in a minute. I'm just putting my shoes on."
Who did this huge rumbling voice belong to? It seemed friendly, and the dinosaurs began to look at each other reassuringly. Green was starting to smile to himself, a knowing smile that instantly put the others at ease. Just then, a big smiling face peered from around the corner, followed by an even bigger body.
"Hello there, I'm Fred. Can I help you?"
Green smiled at the giant and said, "Hello, Fred. We've been searching for you all across this galaxy. We are the Dinonauts and we really need your help." Fred beamed.
That sounds interesting. Tell me more."
Green went on. "We've been searching for months and months for someone to be our lead vocalist in our band so that we can finally enter Space Band of the Year. The trouble is, none of us can sing very well, and we really need a big loud voice. Something unique to really suit the rock music we play."
"Cool. Well, you're in luck. I love to sing, and to be honest, I've always dreamt about being in a band. You see, it gets kind of lonely here on this planet by myself. If there's room for me to come with you, then I would love to have a go."
Yes! Woo! The dinosaurs cheered and clapped their tiny hands and stomped their humongous feet on the ground. They couldn't believe it. Finally, a real chance of winning. Fred nervously said,
"Shall I sing something for you now, just to make sure it's what you're after?"
No, we don't have time. The competition is today and we need to get back super fast. I'm sure your lovely deep voice will be just perfect. You can have a practice with the song on the way there." Fred packed his giant-sized things into a surprisingly small bag, and they all eagerly hopped aboard the rocket. They were all so excited as they zoomed off straight to the competition. On the way, Purple started playing the song through the rocket ship's stereo for Fred. Fred began to hum along, creating a warm rumble throughout the cabin. Then he started to sing. But it wasn't the deep, loud voice they'd all expected. Not at all. Oh dear. Orange nudged Purple. Purple nudged Blue. They all looked at each other with doubt in their eyes. This wasn't going to be the win that Green was after. But it was too late to think about it. There simply wasn't time for a backup plan. So they crossed their claws and hoped for the best. As they stepped into the Milky Way Theatre, they were instantly mesmerised by the lights that shone across the stage, powered by starlight, with the moon casting a giant-sized spotlight front and centre. Standing there with their mouths wide open, they didn't notice the judges gliding past, followed by a team of aliens all clutching clipboards and looking ever so official. Their moment had arrived. There they all stood, up on the stage, with only their instruments and a giant man called Fred, who they'd only just met a few light years ago, about to sing and perform for the very first time. "I'm feeling a bit nervous," squeaked Orange, letting out a loud burp. He always burped when he was nervous, much to the others' disgust. Purple shot him a look and continued to mop sweat from his brow that was now trickling down rhythmically onto the top of his snare drum, creating a miniature drum solo all of its own. Meanwhile, Blue was fumbling around trying to plug his guitar in and creating horrible screeching noises each time he went too near to the speaker. The crowd began to get restless and a few started booing. "Hold it together, everyone," whispered Green from a tiny opening at the side of his mouth. "We don't want Fred to back out." The theatre was hushed into complete silence, apart from the sound of wind gently passing out of Fred's bottom. He had built this moment up for years in his mind, and he didn't want to let his newly found friends down. One judge was staring straight at them. One was complaining that her makeup wasn't right for the cameras, and the other was yawning in boredom. Come on, we haven't got all day," said the grumpy-looking judge with the bad lipstick. Just as she was about to scream, "Next!" the band began to play. As soon as the first chord was struck, the yawning judge looked up with a huge grin. Then it happened. Fred started to sing. The dinosaurs expected the worst, but hoped for the best. Should they carry on? Green quickly gave them all his best "keep calm and carry on" look. So they did. And the crowd went wild. Out of their seats, clapping and dancing. Even the judges stood up and joined in. Fred was incredible, and the Dinonauts gave their best performance ever. Not a note out of tune. A standing ovation from the audience and the judges swept through the theatre. As the Dinonauts and Fred all stood there in complete shock and not really sure of how they had managed it, the judges gave their feedback one by one.
Absolutely incredible.
If you don't win, I quit.
Amazing! You really are the next big thing.
Well, they couldn't believe their ears. They were so happy that they had taken a chance on Fred, the friendly giant from Earth with the beautiful singing voice. Backstage, they waited eagerly for the results to be announced. "Wow, Fred," said Green, full of the sort of excitement the others had never seen before. "You were amazing out there." To be quite honest, we weren't really sure if this would work, or even that you would go through with it. But you did. And together we sounded out of this world, literally. Fred beamed with pride as his bandmates gathered around him for a special group hug. He'd always been such a lonely giant and now felt as though he finally was part of something bigger than him, friendship. Just then, they were interrupted by a fussy little creature who ushered them onto the stage. A decision had been made, and the winner was about to be announced. All the band stood there together. Some were holding hands, some were closing their eyes and mumbling, and others had huge grins as if they thought they had already won. The judges paraded onto the stage and the audience went silent. A drum roll played and a big voice filled the theatre through every speaker. "And the winner of Space Band of the Year is..." Everybody held their breath. "Fred and the Flying Dino-Nauts." The room erupted with explosive cheers as golden confetti was showered across the stage and Fred and the dinosaurs received their trophy. The show host came rushing onto the stage and shoved a microphone into Fred's face, completely ignoring the others. He said, "How does it feel to be crowned the winner?" Fred turned to the dinosaurs and said in his deepest, rumbliest giant voice,
Well, we couldn't have done it without each other.
"Yes, yes, yes. But what about you? What are you going to do as the winner?"
Me? Well,
said Fred.
I think you mean we. What are we going to do? Well, me, my new friends and my band are going to the studio to record our brand new song.
He knelt down, scooped up his dinosaur friends, and off they headed back to the rocket for their real journey to begin. Laugh, learn, make, create.